All right. Okay, so it's a snowy day in New Jersey. We are live, Masculine Geek number 98. We have special guest Joshua Lisec, ghostwriter and ghost publisher, and we're going to get down and dirty on some ghostwriting and ghost publishing items. We did talk a little bit before the show, but we're going to go right into it now. So, Joshua, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Hello, gentlemen, General Geeks. I am glad to be here.
Cool, excellent. All right, we got people in the chat already. We're going to ignore you people because we have a guest on. So, Mictobus, you're going to have to be quiet. Anyway. So, Josh, is it snowing near you?
It is literally snowing right now. Yes.
Okay.
Look out my window. Boom, there it is.
Nice. Yeah, we got that too. I think it's hitting the whole eastern seaboard, or parts of it anyway, mid-Atlantic states. So, ghostwriting and ghost publishing, what exactly does that entail? I mean, for most people don't know what that is, really.
Ghostwriting goes a little bit like this. Someone else does all the work. You get to take the credit as the author. Ghost publishing. Like someone else does all the work to get you published. You take all the royalties.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. Now, how long have you been doing this? I mean, how did you get started? Like, was it something you just woke up and said, yeah, I'm going to do ghostwriting? That's something I want to do.
Literally the opposite.
Okay.
Literally the opposite. So we're close. So it's just going from I guess +1 to -1, perhaps. Here's how it went. About 10 years ago, where our story begins. It was about 10 years ago. I wrote a couple of novels. It's my lifelong ambition, being a nerd, geek, as you might say. I wanted to become a published novelist. That was my ambition. By the ripe old age of 20, I had a 2-book deal for 2 novels, adventure thriller novels, the second editions of which, I am pleased to announce, will be forthcoming soon.
Cool.
Soon. That will be fun.
Anniversary editions?
What's that?
Anniversary
editions or just second printings or something?
A second edition because the rights from the publisher reverted to me because that was so long ago. So I might as well release the second edition. Revised and expanded, you might say. In any case, I got my publishing deal. Yeah. What's that?
The author's cut.
Yes, author's cut. That's a good way to put it. Author's cut. Director's cut. Okay. I had the 2-book publishing deal. I'm going out and I'm signing books and I'm going to do panels and I'm taking photos with fans and selfies with the flip phones back in those days. And something interesting happened. Meanwhile, on the side of my novel writing and promoting ambitions, I decided it would be a good idea to try my hand at making money by selling my services rather than just my work through my books. So I thought, why not call myself Joshua Lisec, freelance writer, please hire me, please. I mean it. My first gig paid $1.67 an hour, but that $1.67 an hour taught me that there are people who will pay me outside of traditional employment. Here in the States, that would be a W-2 position. It was going directly to people who would pay me. So I thought, well, can I charge $16.70? $167. Just keep moving that decimal point until someone says, no, that's too much. I still haven't gotten there, and I still keep moving the decimal point, and people keep saying, no, it's still not too much. So I guess I'm going to keep going.
Nice.
In any case, a couple of my freelance writing clients, whom I was writing kind of boring business stuff for, like search engine optimized articles and product descriptions for this, that, and the other, nothing that was particularly creative. A couple of those clients saw my novels, read them, said, Joshua, holy cow, these are actually good. You are younger than the number of years I've wanted to write a book, and here you are having written 2. I am ashamed of myself. Joshua, can you help me finally write my book? And I said, okay, fine, sure, I guess I'll help you with your book. And I've been saying, okay, fine, sure, I guess I'll help you with the book for 55 books now. I'm currently ghostwriting my 56th, 57th, and 58th ghostwritten books. It is living the dream. I have a wife and son. I've retired my wife out of her job comfortably now. The profits and proceeds from ghostwriting have resulted in quite a little mini real estate empire and a bunch of courses I've done to productize my services. Truly is living the dream. And it's about being, as some folks on Twitter say, being a based ghostwriter. So that's what they call me out on the timeline, is the based ghostwriter.
Okay.
Nice.
You're like a comic superhero over here. I like it. So cool. Now I know you can't talk about any specific clients. Are there any that you can divulge that you've worked with?
Yes, there's a few I'm happy to share about. And in fact, 3 of their successes have been in literally the past, I think, about 6 months, funny enough. And either they let me out of the confidentiality agreement by announcing I was their ghostwriter and, oh my gosh, Joshua, you're so wonderful. Thank you for helping me. Or we just never had one in the first place for whatever reason, which is relatively rare. One of which is currently the #2 Wall Street Journal bestseller, Professional Hypnotist, by the name of Grace Smith. She's a client of mine. Happy to be working with her, having worked with her. She's right behind Barack Obama's memoir. So if only he had
Wow.
waited longer. If only he had
right.
waited longer, I would be able to have a #1 best-selling, have a #1 best-selling Wall Street Journal client. But in any case, that's pretty exciting, especially because of the raising of the profile from that. So that's one that's very fun book to work on. I'm particularly interested in hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and I work hypno writing principles into all of the drafts that I write for clients, from articles to sales pages to books, because hypnosis or hypnotherapy is the process through which you alter subconscious attitudes, beliefs, behaviors, and therefore alter behavior. And one of the ways that we want to alter behavior as marketers, as creative people, is customer behavior and whether or not they'll purchase from you. That's one example.
Basically, you're writing persuasively. I like it.
Yes. If you're not persuading, you're being persuaded. As one of my clients used to say, who I will now mention because I do not have a non-disclosure agreement with her. She's kind of the queen bee of women online business people. Extremely popular on that corner of the internet. Her name is Bushra Azar. She is originally from
I know who that is. I've heard of her. I know who she is. Yeah, that's awesome.
Boom. Yes. So one of the most hilarious characters you will ever come across online. Author of the #1 international bestseller, Mass Persuasion Method. There's an organization called Book Authority. They rank books in different categories, and they poll pretty much the most famous authors in that category. So for the persuasion category, Jim Collins, Warren Buffett, Tim Ferriss were 3 of the people who were polled, and they ranked Mass Persuasion Method the #4 best persuasion book of all time, right after Robert Cialdini's Persuasion.
Nice.
So that's pretty fun. And then another fantastic client success story was Ramesh Danta, who won the Gold Medal Award from Reader's Favorite, which is a prestigious book awards ceremony, for having the #1 best marketing book on the planet out of tens of thousands released in 2020. He is literally #1. There's no marketing book better in that on the planet from that impartial, I guess you could say, literary critical reception that he got. So all of those books, those are not luck. That's not, oh, gee, right place, right time. It is engineering. And people, I like to joke that being a ghostwriter is being a literary engineer. And we tinker and tweak and play with everything from the concept to who the audience is going to be, to the title and the subtitle. And I've taught quite a bit to even the traditional publishing industry, like big publishers, about how to create search engine optimized titles and subject headers and chapter headings and all that, so on and so forth. It's quite a fun business, especially at this point where now clients who have a non-disclosure agreement with are telling me, Joshua, I think I screwed up. I don't think we should have a non-disclosure because people knowing you ghostwrite my book will make it sell more.
Instant marketing, yeah.
No kidding. Well,
Wow,
I'll tell you, there's dudes in the circles that I run in particular, and Masculine Geek kind of runs in on the peripheral. They could definitely use your help and use your services, because these guys are retards when it comes to marketing, persuasion, all of that kind of stuff. They're amateurs, rank amateurs at best. So it's like, these guys could be tuning in.
They could benefit from your,
Absolutely.
Well, would you like me to drop a knowledge bomb right now that will blow away some broken beliefs?
Sure.
Okay, so Masculine Geeks who have something creative to sell. But this past week, I did a thread on Twitter, which is like 200 tweets strong now. I said 1 RT equal 1 uncomfortable truth about writing and publishing. And it's not just about books, really. It's also about any information product you're trying to sell. And one of the uncomfortable truths I talked about is if you're telling me to buy your product without telling me why to buy your product, I don't want to buy your product.
Hmm.
And I see that often. Look, my book is out. Buy my book. Look, as someone says here, coloring activities book. Buy. Like, okay, so what? Who cares?
Why? Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
There's no why. And then people latch on to Simon Sinek and his Start With Why stuff and his TED Talk and his book and say, my why is making me money. So my why is the reason you should buy the book. Wrong. Nope. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. The framework I apply to clients is, being that I don't believe in reinventing the wheel, I am a great artist and I steal what's already out there. There's a fellow whose framework I read about in the Harvard Business Review called the jobs to be done theory. It goes like this. People buy products or services, including books, including activity and coloring books, to get jobs done in their life that already exist before you show up on the scene with your product. Otherwise,
distract my 5-year-old for the next 10 minutes.
What's that?
Distract my 5-year-old for the next 10 minutes.
That's right. Yeah, activity and coloring book. Exactly. That was something, James, you needed to do before the Masculine Geek coloring and activity book showed up on the scene. So if you were creating the Masculine Geek activity and coloring book, the title of it, the subtitle, the promotion of it, everything about it would need to focus on keeping your kid distracted so you can get some work done, for gosh sakes.
You know what? There's actually a joke that's turned into something maybe we now have to do.
Maybe so. And this is true even for fiction, for creative activities. Well, we'll start with the obvious ones. Like, let's run with Ramesh's book. The 60-Minute Startup is the name of the book. Ramesh came to me. He's an expert in the agile project management space. Anyone who's in software will know, oh, that's how we run our projects. And we have scrums and we have, sprints and we have test and iterate and measure and all that stuff for our minimum viable products. Well, Ramesh, being an expert in that, said, what if we applied that to entrepreneurship and called it the Agile Entrepreneur? We eventually went with a series title of Agile Entrepreneur. But I asked Ramesh, okay, what jobs are you getting done? For what is this book going to help people do that they haven't been able to effectively do? And he said, well, so many people who want to start a creative business or a side hustle or something or freelance. Well, what do? They say, okay, I'm going to print business cards, put up a website and get a cute little logo. And I guess I'm in business now. Well, what don't they have? Paying customers. Well, they might get a few free customers or basically free customers, or end up paying out of their own pocket to work with customers for free. They don't have paying customers. Or if they do, it takes them years to get there. So using Agile, we worked our way backwards and said, how many hours can we promise readers it will take them to get their first paying customers if they follow your advice, Ramesh? We ran the numbers. Run the effing numbers, as I say. And we calculated about 30 hours. I said, Ramesh, do you see what you did there? He said, I think I do. I said, 1 hour a day for 30 days. The 60-Minute Startup. The clouds parted. The halo, ascended over Ramesh's head. It was a glorious experience. And we essentially made the promise of the book. And the subtitle, by the way, the subtitle should be the promise of value that people are going to get when they buy it. So in Ramesh's case, we said, the proven system to start your business and get paying customers in 1 hour a day and 30 days or less. There is nothing confusing about that. You know exactly what you're buying, and you're saying, holy cow, that is worth at least $20 and 8.3 hours of my time, which is how long it takes on average to read a nonfiction book nowadays. So it was an absolute no-brainer for anyone who thinks about starting a business. The jobs to be done are starting a business and getting paying customers really fast. So those 3 jobs, we communicate, we're getting those done for you with this $20 book in 30 days or less, and only 1 hour a day. Are you stupid? Of course you want to buy this book. It rose to number 100 and I think it was 168 out of all 6 million books on Amazon about a couple of months ago. It was remarkable. I believe Ramesh said it was selling 1,000 copies a day at one point. Pretty crazy stuff. And the same with Bushra, the same with Grace, the same with everybody. make it clear exactly what you're doing, what jobs you're getting done for people with your product. With fiction, what type of escape are you offering them? What are the characters going to be going through on their adventure? Give me the premise, the blurb. Make me feel the emotional value of the story, of the adventure. Give you an example of how I pitched my two novels. I described it as Indiana Jones for millennials. Oh, that's really cool. Millennials, we grew up with Indiana Jones, as a kid. For a lot of us, either Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out right around the time we were first starting to watch movies, or were allowed to watch, PG-13 movies. That was one of my favorite, probably top 5 favorite movies as a kid.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And so that swashbuckler creativity, mega corny sort of a story, that's what I wanted to recreate. So that's how I pitched my novels, and we'll be pitching the author's cut, as it were, in the future. So being very clear on what jobs you're getting done for your clients, your customers, your readers, makes it really stupid easy to sell your product to them, your service to them, your book to them.
Okay.
I love it.
That's fantastic. Now, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I mean, being an author myself and a writer. So someone comes to you with a book idea.
Yes.
And Joshua, here's my idea, and I maybe I give you a brief outline. Write my book. Do I just say here, write my book? How does that work? Can you go into the process a little bit?
Yeah. I like to think in terms of models and frameworks, so that there's very little gut instinct, because gut instinct is what we say we do when we got lucky one time and we had no idea what we're doing after that or before that. And so we just hope that people believe us. So we use frameworks and theories and models and best practices and templates instead in my line of work. Here's the one for a book idea. Think of a Venn diagram. You see 2 circles. There's a slight overlap between those 2 circles right in the middle. The circle on the left, that is everything you could put in your book. It is your almost infinite library of ideas, stories, examples, experiences, advice, tips, tricks, tactics, plot holes, plot loops, plot lines. There's a lot there. That's what is confusing for most authors when they sit down to write, is they have the paradox of that mental library. They can literally write about anything and everything, but what should they write about with that one paragraph, with that one sentence, with the first word of the sentence? It's paralyzing. There's no such thing as ghostwriter's block, by the way. We completely remove that from the table by the following. The right circle of our Venn diagram, that is what jobs your readers want to get done. That is, what are they saying about other books that they bought in your category? Specifically, what do the 2-star, the 3-star, and the 4-star reviews say? Those are the neutral, critical reviews. Always look for the ones from verified purchasers, by the way. Goodreads, Amazon, Audible, etc.
Yeah.
That's where you'll see things like, I bought the book because I was hoping to get X, and I only got a paragraph of it. Or the main character, the protagonist, it seemed like it was going to be this sort of a character, but really all I got was somebody who was blah, 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 blah. By looking through thousands upon thousands of these verified reviews, you begin to see patterns. And you begin to take those patterns and you begin to see, okay, this is what my actual customers want. Because you're not going to be the first person to write a book in your category. Marketing category, for example, has roughly 80,000 books. If you're 80,001, you better be sure what you're offering that the previous ones hadn't. That's where that Venn diagram comes in, right? The one circle, this is everything that your market is willing to pay for. We even use tools like Publisher Rocket to look at what the competition is for different keywords, how many searches there are there statistically significant searches? Are we seeing people actually buying books as a result of searching for those keywords? And then the overlap of those Venn diagrams, this takes about a month to find out, by the way. That is our premise for the book. For the title, the subtitle, the table of contents, even everything falls out of those that I guess it could be found in the middle, the overlap of those 2 Venn diagrams. What you want to write about that readers are willing to pay for to read.
Okay, and that's part of your research process.
That's month number 1, yes.
That's month number 1. Okay. Take us into month number 2.
Yeah. The typical process runs 5 to 10 months, depending on how fast or how urgent it is. There are some authors who say, "Hey, Joshua, I'm in the process of getting a book deal. My agent's in the process of securing an advance, but I don't get it because I don't have the book. Help, quick, 6 weeks, please." So I get those every now and again. But usually it's someone who's coming to me that they know they need to have a book because of the authority, credibility, and expertise you have when you can say you literally wrote the book on your area of expertise. That's infinite leverage over your competition, even if they've already written books, which frankly are probably pretty crappy. I was tweeting about that today. We can work our way back to that if we like in my shenanigans on Twitter. In any case, depending on the timeline, months, usually 2 through 5, are going one chapter at a time. We've got our structure. We know exactly what we're going to say, and just as importantly, what we're not going to say in this book, what's in scope, what's out of scope, and we follow that track so that everything that's being written, yes, it's in the voice of the client, it feels like they wrote it. For example, if you read Bushra and you know anything about her personality or style, her voice, there's no hint that she worked with a ghostwriter. In fact, when people have been reaching out to me who know that was part of Bushra's circle there a couple of years ago, they would say, "I heard that Bushra wrote this book, and I need to write a book too. It was so amazing. Is there any chance that you feel like you can help me write a book like Bushra did?" Oh, guess what? Guess what? It's fun when that happens, by the way, is when the potential client references a book that they really want to emulate. And it was one that I wrote. It happened 3 times in the past couple of months. That's always fun.
That
In any
is pretty
case,
funny.
chapter by chapter through the process. And I'm not one of these ghostwriters who disappears for 6 months or for 6 weeks or whatever and like writes the entire book and says, "Okay, here's your book. What do you think?" And then they have to spend weeks or months or some cases years trying to unscramble everything that doesn't sound like them and remove half of it and all that other stuff. We go iteratively. So, okay, here's the first chapter. The author gives me a chance to tweaks and feedback and post comments. And, oh, by the way, that one story you wrote down, Joshua, reminded me of this whole other thing. And then they've added 5 pages of kind of brain dump that I need to restructure and refine. Then you go through this process iteratively so that at the end, they've got themselves basically a second draft, not even a first draft, but a second draft of the manuscript that is pretty much the exact way that they want it to be. And then it receives a Chicago Manual of Style line edit, CMS, Chicago Manual of Style being the premier standards for the publishing industry for everything from citations, but also to substance and style and structure, grammar, punctuation, spelling, all of the above. That way, even if they're not going through a traditional publisher, readers will feel as if they're getting the quality of something that has passed the agents and acquisitions editors muster. And it's in this New York Times bestseller.
That's great.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So there are occasionally quality issues with, I shouldn't say ghostwriters, but there are times where you could tell, okay, this was written by a ghostwriter. Like this feels like Cuomo or some famous figure was talking to their ghostwriter, and their ghostwriter was just typing the words into the manuscript with minimal editing. How can do you ever fall into that trap? And 2, are there any common mistakes or trappings that you tend to just see just by reading a book?
Yeah. The issue with the transcript, and I mean, there are people who call themselves scribes that do this, scribe publishing companies, whatever. Basically, hey, we'll hook you up with somebody, a freelancer, and they'll interview you. They'll transcribe it. They'll fix the typos. We'll slap chapter names on it. You got yourself a book. You have yourself toilet paper is what you've got here in terms of the quality. Here's why. 93% of communication, spoken communication, is nonverbal. That means that if you just transcribe what someone says, you only have 7% of a meaningful message. The other 93% needs to be expanded, needs to be expounded. You literally can't just take exactly what someone said and then fix the typos and call it a book. Nope. Doesn't work that way. Usually what we'll have to do is add additional stories, expand it, and making sure that there's nothing vague. That's what we're often doing when we're speaking to one another. We're vague, a stream of consciousness. We're not filling in a bunch of the details that need to be there. So the transcription, you're reading a bunch of information, but you're not really seeing it in your mind's eye. You're like, okay, I kind of see what he's talking about here, what she means here. But there's something that's missing. There's a lot that's missing. And I see this all the time where someone says, hey, Joshua, my book's basically done. It's 50,000 words. Great. Okay, well, I'll have a look at it. So how did you grade it? Well, I transcribed my course. Like, ooh, boy. Ooh, boy. And I see it and it begins, the first thing I'm going to talk about today is this. Like, you can't start a book that way. You crazy?
I'm reading the book. I'm reading the first thing that you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I have some understanding of causality. Probably everybody else reading this book has some understanding of causality. That if I drop my phone and it falls to the floor, and my eyes glimpse the first page that I see, and it's the first thing that you're going to talk about. There's this thing that we could have skipped here in this person's introduction, but we have to go through it now.
Right. And that's one of the things I see often. It's not only what's there, it's usually what's not there. That's the first thing I spot. Although there are many tells for working with it, for spotting what was ghostwritten. For example, roughly 85% of New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestsellers are ghostwritten. And usually one of the ways that you can tell a ghostwritten book is that there's nothing new in the person's book. Meaning, the publisher or the literary agent who works with the author recommended the ghostwriter. The ghostwriter watched a bunch of their popular videos on YouTube or interviews that they gave, took the really popular stories, and turned them into literary form. And so the author is so excited about this book that they're talking about, but then new fans, or the old fans who've been with them for years, are like, really?
I've already seen and heard this.
Book. And yet, I already knew all of this. I was expecting something new, and you feel a little cheated. And it's very common that books do this. Some people call it grifting. I would just say it's hiring the wrong ghostwriter.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we're up to what month? 3, 4, 5 here. The end.
Yes, in the process, depending if it's 5, 6, 7, 10 months, somewhere in there. Once we've got the finished manuscript, most ghostwriter would say, okay, got your Word document, have fun, see ya. And then you have to figure out what the heck you're going to do with it. That's why I added the ghost publishing module on it. Now, yes, there are authors I take through the traditional publishing path, the book proposal, the query letter, the literary agent, the book deal, finishing the book, going to print, seeing them mention me at the end of the book in the acknowledgments. I'd like to thank my writing partner, Joshua Lisec. That's always fun. Always fun when I get to that point. But for authors who want complete creative control of the process and basically the pros of both self-publishing and traditional publishing without the cons, that's basically what ghost publishing is. And that's where we literally set up an imprint under their business or alongside of their business or make their business the official publisher of record. And all of the step-by-step processes from composition, that's what they call laying out a book, like reformatting it, resizing it, and prettying up the interior. So it's not like a plain, boring Times New Roman Word document, but it looks like a real book, resized, etc. All the margins, bleed, crop, all that good stuff. All the way through that process for hardcover, softcover, digital, and audiobook. Roughly half of all bestsellers, it's the audio edition alone that is the best seller.
Really?
Generation podcast is what I call it. Most people who listen to audiobooks, working out, commuting, doing chores, goofing off, administrative work, and you can listen to something. So if you don't have an audiobook edition, chances are you're missing about half of your sales. Now, if you're selling 2 or 3 books in the entirety of your literary career, it's probably not worth it. And unfortunately, there are a lot of self-published authors who get to 2 or 3 books. But I have a few choice words on that. Another time, perhaps. Another time. In any case, the ghost publishing process follows the track of a traditional book publication, a launch, where, okay, we want you to be incentivized to buy the book within 48 hours or 72 hours or 7 days of release. So you'll get free access to the audiobook edition and a live Q&A with the author 7 days from publication if you buy the book and if you send us your purchase confirmation. You get all those bonuses at $97 value, whatever, totally free. Hurry, expires in 24 hours, 12 hours left, 6 hours left. That sort of urgency and scarcity worked in actually works pretty well. The reason is people say, well, the book sounded kind of cool, but I really want those bonuses. The bonuses are what are going away. And so that puts people over the top. And that's why you see so many, especially business-minded, business-oriented authors are doing that nowadays. And even with fiction, they're doing that, where you get the sequel for free or the prequel for free, and you get to be part of the author club or the book club, with the author in a private Facebook group or something, but it's only for the first 100 copies sold, for example. Incentives. If you're not launching a book with incentives, are you really launching a book? No, the narrator said no.
That's super interesting, because what you basically described is sort of the Kickstarter model of selling a lot of materials.
Yeah.
Like I do tabletop publishing, and everything you've just described. Hey, you can get the if you give us money, you can add to this book we're going to publish, and people do it. People do it. Somebody paid me $250 so that they could add a bunch of stuff to an upcoming tabletop supplement I'm selling. And it's so weird to hear you talk about selling fiction like this or selling nonfiction like this.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. When did surely one, this is not how things always were.
No.
When did this transition happen?
I believe it could trace back to a fellow named Jeff Walker. Jeff Walker is the original info product launch maven, where and he has. I literally had a book as I think something like product launch or Jeff Walker's product launch formula.
Yeah.
I believe it came out over 10 years ago. Basically, it was, hey, several days, at least a week, if not 6 weeks before your product comes out, get people psyched about it. Let them know what bonuses are going to be coming up with it if you buy within this purchasing time frame. Here's all the reason you need to buy it. Basically, kind of persuading people to get excited about purchasing it, you might say. And then, okay, finally the day comes. Let's go ahead and buy it. There's that element, and then of course there's, oh, okay, well, I guess I can buy that at some point. It's just an information product. I think I can wait. Now, in his case, it's like $97 ebooks or $497 courses or $3,000 mentorships or whatever. That's what he's, the Jeff Walker model is known for. But from what I can tell, the powers that be in the Big Four, formerly Big Five, publishing, notice that works really well for information products, which is what they sell. Now, not all authors do that, interestingly enough. Not all authors do that. But for the business savvy ones, for the ones who see that there can be a lot more potential for their book, they want not just copies of the book sold, they want readers' email addresses. They're thinking long term. Forward your purchase confirmation to us. What do you now have? Their email address.
Email address, yeah.
Someone who buys is more likely to buy again from you.
Right.
Yep.
And if you're selling on Amazon, you don't get that. Selling on Barnes & Noble, you don't get that. Selling in Barnes & Noble, you don't get that. Selling to local libraries, you don't get that. And that, of course, is what the product launch model knows. Is I believe the statistic I once heard is that someone who's bought from you before is 2,000% more likely to buy from you again than a non-customer.
Yep.
So if you're not keeping track of email addresses, what's the point? And so when you're offering these free incentives, you're likely going to get people who are, okay, you won me over, I'm going to jump on that. The people who are a little more apt to make those kind of shotgun calls, okay, I'm going to jump on that, I'm going to get that special offer. So they're probably more likely than the average bear to want to purchase from you. And since they are initially, you might as well be marketing to them and remarketing them and keeping in touch with them and getting feedback and getting book ideas for them and all that good stuff. And so that's what Ramesh, among other authors, is doing, is following up with people who got the bonuses upon book launch and, hey, what do you want the next book to be about? The next book. And a lot of them were, well, how does this work specifically for technology businesses? I've got a software product I want to create. I got an app I want to build. So guess what? The sequel, or the spinoff, you might say, is the 60-minute tech startup. Coming up soon is going to be another 60-minute startup book. There's going to be a bunch more in this series. And I'm seeing that a lot with nonfiction books, where you kind of have this this Bible, so to speak, 300 pages. And then you've got these sequels or spinoffs that are like biblical commentaries.
Addendums. Yeah.
Cliff
Niche
notes.
specific. Like, okay,
Yeah.
take Grace, for example. The first book is Hypnosis. They say the fundamentals, 101. This is like the ultimate reference point for the practice of hypnotherapy. And then there's hypnotherapy for weight loss, for sleep, for relaxation, stress release, for so on and so forth. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo, right? As they say. So there we go. There you go.
Okay.
It's interesting that you're using the emails not just to like spam links at these people and tell them buy my new thing that just came out. You actually meant, by asking for feedback and stuff like that, or sourcing feedback, you're evolving the conversation with these people. And it's funny that the sequels follow that logic where these are evolving the discussion or the points put forward in whatever the original text was.
Exactly. Because why not find out what jobs your customers want to get done beyond the ones you've helped them do already? The jobs they want to get done that are going to be important enough for them to buy. And in this case for Ramesh, it was, well, this is all well and great, but I need a little bit more customization, personalization, direction on my tech business idea. How does it look like to create a minimum viable software product or build an app or sell my technical services and expertise? I felt like the first book, it gave me some ideas, but it was I felt like there wasn't enough specific direction for my situation. Okay, the 60-minute tech startup it is. And the same with all of these books where you introduce a specific application. It just simply makes sense for you to go deep on that application and have example after example after example, step by step, for taking your broad expertise and niching it down. So in publishing, you don't want to start in a niche. You don't want to niche down with your first book. You want as broad as possible, as many different readers who could possibly buy it. For example, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Well, that book, team, that's nonprofits, that's corporations, that's Fortune 500, that's Inc. 5000, that's mom and pop shops. Everybody, one of those has teams. It's also
that's an umbrella, yeah.
Yeah, it's also athletics teams, sports teams. And then, of course, he niched it down to families. That was one of the ones that he realized that people wanted some specific feedback on, and that's a specific niche, parents, their kids. So start with your broad expertise, and then based on the feedback you begin to get from readers, what they want more of, the sort of people who say, I've really been enjoying this book. For example, in Grace's case, let's say maybe 50% of the feedback received from readers of the first book was, I use this to lose weight. Wow, that really tells you something. I need to have a niche specific book taking my ideas specifically how to lose weight, or whatever your category is, like the specific sort of results people keep getting over and over again. What are people using your information to get jobs done in their lives? And if there's a specific job, well, guess what? You can tailor your information specific to that, and now you can reach only the people with a sequel who want to get that job done. And then say, if you want more where this came from, buy the first book.
Okay. Now, is that when you're dealing with, especially with nonfiction writers, is that something you're going to advise people to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes sense if information products make sense. I'll put it that way.
Gotcha.
If they want to have multiple books, and they want to have multiple courses, and they want, I call it the book revenue pyramid. You've got $20 book. You want to put that in as many hands as possible. And because it's low priced like that, you can. And out of that pool of people, out of that layer of all the people who are buying that lowest priced product, they then get to learn about your $97 masterclass, or $197 or $47 or $27 or $37 or whatever your price point is. To go deeper, to get a little bit more, like basically to get the visual version, the video course based with lessons, instructions version of the book. So it's a different medium of the information that's in the book. And then on top of that, maybe there's a group coaching or mentorship or consulting. And then the very top of your pyramid is one-on-one or done-for-you services. And you look at all of the greats in personal development, they all do this. In health and wellness, the entrepreneurs who are known for being super creative and creating lots of programs and massive value, They all have extraordinarily tall book revenue pyramids, but the foundation of all of them are multiple books. It makes sense if that's the sort of business model that you have, where you're selling services, but that's not the only thing you want to sell. You want to have a bunch more opportunities for revenue creation and also converting readers of your $20 book into clients for your $20,000 service. And I've learned personally with my own novels, with my courses, that often people will buy your low price stuff to convince themselves that you know what you're talking about. And they were actually a prospect initially for your highest value service. I actually had somebody email us, Joshua, about your $99 program, the best way to say it, because I wanted to prove to myself you weren't full of crap.
Probably the best $99 he spent. Let's talk a little bit about that too, because I did pick that up recently and we're slowly working
Lovely.
my way through it. Yeah, I like it. And it's
What have
cool.
you taken away so far?
It's the conciseness of it. It's just drilling down to the salient points that, because I have a tendency to be wordy and a little preachy in my nonfiction writing, as it were. So that's actually helping me in my own endeavors. And I like the one case study. You know who I'm talking about. I don't know if you can say his name. He's well known on Twitter, and you may be working with him, but I'm not
Ed?
sure. Hey, there. Okay, good. Yeah.
That's one of the original points. So there's inside of the best way to say it, which is basically my writing system. I don't call it a course because that's like, oh, there's a bunch of information. Throw a bunch of information at you. There's roughly 12 hours of content, but the course part is only about 40 minutes. That's okay. Here's what the system looks like. I'm teaching it to you, and then all the other videos are now watch me.
They're basically in the moment case studies, and I like it because you had the way you did it. You were just following along with you. So yeah,
live editing, live writing sessions, and one of them is a chapter in Ed Lattimore's book. There's and a blog post. I choose like different pieces of content. So I do kind of a review of a sales page. I do a couple reviews of blog articles. One that's a leadership post, and then one that is a highly technical field of pharmaceuticals, where it's highly regulated and there's specific words you can and cannot use in that space. And then another one is a sales email. I also do one for a landing page, and I'll focus on 2 steps. Simplest writing system you'll ever find. Restructure and refine. So there's specific things you need to do to create the feeling of flow, where you're in that flow state as a reader, and it feels like the text is reading itself. You're just breezing your way through it. Whether it's a sales page or a blog article, book even, the principle all applies. And so I give different pieces of content showing myself doing this so that you can see it. And then once you've restructured it, you then refine it. Now you ask yourself, what's the best way to say this?
Okay. Yeah, I'm very interested in the landing page one too for some of our own stuff. So it's and I think, is that one of the items you add? Because I know you're always updating and adding content as well. So yeah, that's good. I like that. Cool. Okay. Now where can I'll have to share a link with that. Let me see if I can. Do you have a non-logged in link we could do here for the Gumroad course? Handy, and I'll throw it up.
Non-login.
What I mean is I'm logged in now, so I can't. It's not gonna show anything unless.
I can just for the curious, I can drop it here in the private chat. I can put it. I guess I can't access the comments, but
you could if you were on. If you had another tab open and you were on our page.
I've got it here, Vince. Unless you already put it up there.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna throw. Yeah, I threw it in.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Let me throw it in there. And thanks, Bacon, and thank you to One Man's Way. This average bear hates email. Email can be. It depends on the emails too. I personally don't like spammy emails. I don't like getting garbage every day, so I understand that. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, a lot of interesting comments here. I've seen going back to the top of the hour.
No, go ahead, please.
Someone talked about buying small stuff first. Danielle Savoy said, "Prospecting Truth. I've seen the major gifts fundraising. Yep, $50 gift, $50 or whatever that thing is. Then you're in a position where it's like, Oh, you buy from again? You buy from the first time, why not just why not buy from again, right? Keeping on their radar, so to speak. Very wise, very wise. Let's see what other questions we got here.
Yeah,
Installment.
we've got a few more minutes. Does anyone have any specific questions for Jason?
Yeah,
Joshua?
hit me with your book idea, your premise. I want to hear some real time jump to be done theory style feedback on
cool.
it, rather than say, "Oh, that's a good book idea," or "Oh, that's a terrible book idea." That's not useful. If you have a framework like jobs to be done, it's a filter that allows you to say, "Well, here's why this will work, or why it will, or why it won't work, or here's what we could adjust to make it work." There is hardly any book idea I've come across from an aspiring author that was terrible. Most of them have potential if we realign them. Remember that Venn diagram from the outset, right? There's what you could write about in one Venn diagram, and the other is what people are willing to pay for to learn, to be able to do, to feel, to be entertained by. And finding that overlap is what allows you to come up with a commercially viable book idea in true Joshua Lisec fashion.
Cool.
Any questions from any of you fellas, as we dig
While
in?
we're waiting for people to come up with terrible, because now you've challenged them to come up with a terrible book idea.
They're going to come up with one, yeah.
You may not have realized it, but now they're going to come up with it. But I've often heard when it comes to, like, I'm a tabletop designer, when I put something in front of somebody, usually the feedback I want from them, now that I've gone into the professional sphere, is I actually don't want their commentary. I just want them to say, did suck, didn't suck. And at that point, I say, okay, thanks. I've been doing this for a while. I know which part probably wasn't going to work and stuff like that. And I get worried if they start thinking. But it sounds like when people are beginning to enter these spaces, from your perspective, if they don't have any experience with it and stuff like that, there actually is feedback that can be acquired. Like, it sounds like you're being proactive with your feedback and saying, no, there are specific, I know what was in your pitch that wasn't going to work or was probably going to work, and I'm going to illuminate this for you in a way that maybe your best friend wouldn't have. Is that part of the service that you offer?
Oh, definitely. Oftentimes, the very first thing that I'll do is I'll tell you, hey, I'll analyze your sample. Oftentimes, people will start, well, I got a couple of chapters written, but I didn't get much further than that because I'm like, oh, this is too hard. So they've got something they can share with me, and I'll say, hey, here's what you got. Here's why it works. Here's part of it that doesn't work. And here's what's going to fix that and make everything else work together to reach the audience with what they perceive is a new tool to get the job done. And that's something that goes back to our very good old jobs be done framework, where people, as I said, people buy tools to get things done, to get those jobs done. Well, if you come out with a new tool that says, here's a new and exciting way to get these things done that you've been struggling with forever, it's going to be an easy sell. For example, I could have called the best way to say it, Joshua Lisec's Writing Intensive. Okay, I've heard of writing intensives before, but I don't quite actually know what they are. I've not heard of Joshua Lisec before. Maybe you have. I don't know. Writing intensive, I guess it's a writing course? Oh, I've taken those. See, that would be an example of an old tool. Oh, I've done the writing intensive before. It didn't help me. So I have to work really, really hard to convince you that the thing that you tried before that didn't work will actually work, right? Will work this time. So I have a long road ahead of me. What do I call it? The best way to say it? Never heard of that before. And then in the subtitle, I say something along the lines of, how to say it the right way every time, whether you're writing blogs or books with persuasiveness. Oh, wow. I've read books on persuasion, but like persuasion and writing, the sort of writing I need to do every day for my job or for my blog, for my business, or for my writing aspirations or my book idea, this guy is getting a lot of jobs done. And so I worked that into the title, where you want to write a blog, you want to write a book, you want to write everything in between, and then you want to write it persuasively. That's at least 4 jobs that I'm promising you'll get done. More than that, obviously, because then I promise that The value of this is that I'll help you find the best way to write anything you want to write. And that's the biggest promise of all. That's the biggest job. That's the job to win all job, the job to beat all jobs, you might say. Look at the Bacon comment says here in the chat. Going to be compiling all of my nutrition posts into a book at some point. A second marketing note. Anything I need to do? Yes, Bacon comments. Realize that there are roughly 50,000 other books on nutrition. You need to offer something that has never been offered before. In terms of the promise that you're making your readers, I've ghostwritten no fewer than half a dozen books specifically on nutrition at different angles. And there was always something new we were able to present to their market. A newer approach, an easier way to make it into a habit, a nutrition for a specific issue, whether it was cancer or inflammation or people with a specific disease that their symptoms they're trying to manage, and it just so happened that there was a traditional way to help better manage the pain, or the best way to pain management. The best way to pain manage your symptoms, maybe.
Good title.
You got to know the promise. Start with the promise that your title and subtitle can make to readers, and then think about what should be in your book. What do you need to give readers to fulfill that promise? So don't start with compiling your posts into a book. That's literally the opposite of the way you should do it, Mr. Bacon, Miss Bacon, whoever Bacon comments is. That's literally the opposite. Don't start with what you have. Start with what you need to have. Start with a Venn diagram of what people are willing to pay for. Then say, okay, what have I already written that will enable me to fulfill that promise?
I like it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense, and it's something we don't think about. We really don't. It's like we're working backwards. We're working backwards. So okay,
right. We work back with commercial viability. And the question I suck at marketing. Marketing is easy when you have a new tool that you're offering the marketplace. Oh, I haven't seen that before. Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. I need to know more about that. I need to look at your title and subtitle alone and say, okay, you might be blowing smoke here with this, but it's worth $20 to risk it. It's worth 8 hours of my time to find out. That's the emotion you need to give people when they read your title or your subtitle. I see Bacon comment said, Joshua, that's the idea. Pretty much everything I found is stuff most don't know or talk about. Well, there's one thing to say, oh, I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. No. I've seen that meme so many times. I had to go there. But no.
Kill yourself now. Yeah. In 10 easy seconds.
that just rewind. Everything you found out. Well, that's the thing. Can you demonstrate that the information you know is actually useful and that it has use to get a job done for their health, for their wellness, for their happiness, that they haven't been able to get from anything else? It's one thing to say, I've got new information. Like, well, what does that information do for me? What can you promise me that information will do for me if I follow it? That is a compelling book. You need to talk to me afterwards, because I'm really curious about what your information is, and I think I might be able to help you. Bacon comments.
There you go. And Bulrush once has putting out there the knife and edge tool sharpening and maintenance, because that's what he does on the side. He does men's straight razors. So
interesting.
And he refurbishes them and basically turns them into functional art. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Is that the idea of the book?
I don't know, Bulrush. I know you're like half joking here, but if you would be serious and give us some more information regarding your book, and if it's specifically designed towards the straight razors.
Because there probably would be something in, getting the most out of home beautification. And something I wanted to ask relating to this is there used to be a lot of, I don't know if it's mostly contained in clickbait nowadays, but there used to be at the very least books on this. When it came to, 5 ways to become a better carver, 5 ways to become a better copywriter, etc. Are those still around, or has that evolved into more, how to write like a barbarian and more, I don't want to say aggressive titles, but has there been a shift in eye grabbing and attention grabbing recently?
Yeah, and the shift, once again, is explained by John Let's Be Done theory, with the concept of the old tool and the new tool. top 5 whatever, we've all seen the stupid top 5 list. They're not new. They're as old can possibly be. It's internet old, which is literally ancient history. It's basically a fossil, right? And nowadays that you go to Business Insider or Entrepreneur or Forbes, it's, what is it? Top 5 ways to become a successful copywriter. Number 1, possess excellent English skills. Really? I didn't know that. So much of what is put out there is like marketing content or blog content you could already find on Google. So it's extremely low value. It's not insightful. Yeah, it's information. It's not new. It's not insightful. So what I'm seeing a lot of authors do, or bloggers, or anybody who's out there creating content free or paid to get attention, they're thinking through, what do I need to do to make it clear that this is a new tool? A new tool. For example, I really like Adam Lane Smith, the Christian Christian science fiction author, in the way that he markets his course, Write Like a Beast. Ironically, of course, being kind of a masculine geek, you might say, he writes a lot of fiction that's for men. He has monsters and barbarians and warlords and all kinds of crazy stuff in his novels. So the concept of like the beast as a metaphor, as an analogy, that works really well. But in his case, people have always told him, Adam, you write like a beast. That's how he got hit, because he's churning out novel after novel like crazy. Doing a couple of prolific in terms of the output of quality content he creates. And so it makes sense for him to say, here is a new system for creating quality content extremely quickly, novels and fiction specifically, that you haven't seen before. So it works. He sold quite a few copies of it. I affiliate for him because the stuff works. It's the only fiction system I use for any of my fiction ghostwriting clients, which is a whole nother interview topic. Is ghostwriting.
That'll be round 2.
Tell you what,
yeah,
that's fun.
I can imagine. Now, we'll get to bull rush. Let's do bull rushes first, and then we'll get to my question. So, his book idea is not just straight razors, but maintenance and sharpening of knives, axes, scythes, etc. Compare, contrast various tool steels, how to choose good edge tools, i.e. knives. I don't know much about that market. I don't know if it's...
At the outset, that sounds to me not like a book. It sounds more like an affiliate site where you give like the ultimate review of the product that does those specific things. You pick out, here are the top 3 ones and what their pros and cons are. Here's how to decide if you want to buy this one or that one. If you know, Bull Rush, that there's a market for that information, a book may not be the best way to do that. It may be a traffic that you try to generate clicks for. If even though it's a niche, be a niche website, there might be enough traffic to make that happen. Do guest posts, high quality content, insights, not just information. You had a question, one of you gentlemen, I heard.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to ask you as far as because you're saying clients could time-wise anywhere a few months to almost a year, 10 months. How many do you work on at a time? Do you have, obviously you have a limit. I mean, what is that? I mean, you only have so many hours in the day, obviously. So what's your client list?
Right. It varies depending on what exactly I'm doing for them, because I only take on a couple of ghostwriting, like book ghostwriting clients at a time, but I have quite a few more who are, I need a monthly article for my blog. I need you to be my ghost Twitter man. I need to ghost tweet for me. I need a ghost blog for me. I need, I ghostwrite for somebody who gets stuff in Psychology Today regularly, or Harvard Business Review, or Forbes, for example. And it's like at once a month, or once a week even, hey, I need new content. Or recurring email marketing. Someone's got thousands of people on their email list. They want to keep them warmed up for the sales pitch, but they don't want to write it themselves. Ghost email marketer. I'm a ghost copywriter, ghost writer, ghost publisher, ghost marketer, ghost all I would say bound up pitch of being a ghost persuader.
So anything involving words, you're involved in. If you need the right
words that get people to take action, you need a ghost persuader.
Okay, I like it. I didn't know you were into the social media as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. I'm about out of time, gentlemen, and those of you, ladies and gentlemen, who are in the chat here. So there's a question. Oh, I really wanted to ask that, but shoot, Joshua's gone now.
Yeah. Quick, hurry up. There. Yep. You've got 2 minutes. I'm giving you. There's a timer. You can't see it, but it just clicked on. There's a timer of 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to ask a question.
while we're waiting for those 2 minutes for these guys to hurry the fuck up,
Seriously.
Joshua, where can people find you?
Yeah.
Probably for my hottest, steamiest takes, you want to check out my Twitter again at Joshua Lisec, Lisec. If you're curious about my free trainings and resources and guides and to-dos and not to-dos, that'd be my YouTube channel. Just simply search Joshua Lisec. You'll find me there. For people who are like, okay, I think I want to get some advice from Joshua, go to allentrepreneurswordsmith.com/book.
I just threw it up there for you.
And that's exactly what we just pulled up on screen here. That's where you can say, okay, I want to talk to Joshua. I want him to tell me if a book idea is any good or not, if it's worth pursuing, if it's not. I very well may tell you, your book sucks. Your book sucks. And this is a free session I do called the Profitable Book Roadmap. I'll tell you, hey, the direction you're going with your book, you ain't going to make nothing with it. If you want to make money off of your book, do this. And that is free information I give because it's information at the end of the day. It's the execution. That's how I get paid. So I'm happy to do these conversations. I have extremely limited supply of time because everybody wants to hire me as the ghostwriter, it seems like these days. So there's spots are few and far between. And then, of course, at the outset, or at least a few minutes ago, hey, I want to do it myself, the Joshua Lisec persuasion way. Check out the best way to say it. It's linked on my Twitter page, and it's also pretty easily found. I think the direct link to the Gumroad course page is gum.co/bestway. Gum.co/bestway.
Yes, let me throw it up in the chat. I'll put that back up here for you. Go right here. You guys are asking some dumb ass questions, although I expect it from you. So you guys are consistent. So thank you. I appreciate for you guys keeping the universe consistent for me. So there are no serious word related. Well, they're words, but they're not word book related questions. So I'm going to go through one just very quickly. Pancakes or waffles?
I think waffles.
Okay.
Yes.
Waffles. That would
There
be
you go.
my instinct.
I would go with that too. Yeah.
And with the mention of a basically free consultation, folks, if you were sitting in the chat and saying, "Oh, well, I couldn't possibly put my idea forward in this chat, it'll be torn to pieces before it even reaches their eyes. People are gonna come out of the screen to tear me apart."
You were probably right then, if that's what you think.
We would
Right.
do that anyway. So
And, well, of course we were, and good on them for recognizing that in advance. But with the mention of a free consultation, you have no excuse now to not contact Mr. Joshua.
exactly. A free consultation to find out whether or not your book idea has merit.
You owe it to yourself to find out whether or not it's good.
And that's the best way to say it. That's the best way to
Vince
say it.
is frozen. I didn't know if it was an awkward pause. I was like,
it
my
wouldn't be an
goodness, I'm taking
episode
the
of
air out of the room
Masculine
again.
Geek.
How dare I?
Yeah,
But Vince was just frozen again.
yeah, it wouldn't be an episode of Masculine Geek without Vince either freezing or taking a shit.
There we go. I'm back.
Fair enough. All right,
Unbelievable.
gentlemen, ladies,
All right.
all other 52 genders.
Thanks for joining us, Josh. I appreciate it.
You bet, fellas.
very
It's been
pleasant.
a blast.
Very
It's been a blast.
Looking forward to round 2. Have a good night now.
You bet.
That was good.
That was good.
That was
I'm going
very.
to do some A/B testing. I just started up a Fiverr account, so I'm going to be. I'm going to test some of the principles that were mentioned here. See if they translate to certain games.
I would assume that they would. Yeah.
Yeah, especially given that everything that they mentioned about writing is everything that I do in tabletop. So if there's crossover there,
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to be running quite a few things by him. So, both in a consultation and a paid consultation.
very high energy as well. Rob, how did you like that? You're smiling.
Rob has some ideas.
He was really good.
Yep. Yeah, his course is like in fact he uses the same background for his course. It's funny, but it's like he's talking to you, and it is very high energy. It's very engaging. I've watched the intro, the first lesson, and I watched the Ed Lattimore case study where he has up on you see him talking, and then on the other side of the screen, very similar to when I share the screen, he's showing you the edits that he does, cut and paste. He walks you through it. So it's completely worth the course is completely worth it. And if you guys out there, I mean, I don't know what your money situation is. I don't care, but don't be cheap. Don't be a fucking cheap ass. I can't stand that.
No shit.
Fuck. God damn it. But anyway, but it's worth it because he adds. It's not as is. He keeps adding stuff to it, so you're really getting your money's worth for it. I think it's like $99. Let me take a look.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And you know what? It would seriously. I've seen a lot of dudes hucking a lot of different things. And Joshua, honestly, in my opinion, is one of the very few that it's like, oh, fuck, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. It's not a lot of fluff and empty promises that it's like, it's probably worth every penny.
It is. Everything is very concise, straightforward, engaging, and it's packed with good information. Like if you thought listening to him now was good, the course is even better. Is even better. I'm not an affiliate. I'm just telling you guys, right. Go get it. I need to finish it this weekend actually.
Hey, homeschool, thanks, man. I enjoyed writing my post on Desire. And I have some dork on the internet to thank for it because there's a prequel to that particular post called Women, Relationships, and Onions, which is what got me started. And Desire is the final piece, I guess, for me. Because the guy whitewashed. He committed a mortal sin as far as I'm concerned. Because he took one of my favorite words in the dictionary, desire, and he sanitized it. He put it in a lab. He totally killed it. And when I wrote Women, Relationships, and Onions, I forgot that part, basically. That when I finished that original post that came out this last Monday, so a couple days ago, I realized I wasn't done. It was like, I'm missing something. And it's like, what is desire for me? And so desire is what you're seeing now. And that to me is what desire is. That he's missing the fucking point. And so I had to, it's schooling the dipshits on Twitter that here's what desire is. Based on personal experience. The things I mentioned, I've had some people go, well, that was oddly specific. And it's like,
well, yeah, because it fucking happened, dipshit.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. It's like, I'm not just making things up or, I read it in a book somewhere. It's like, no, this is what happened to me. And so this is what desire is. This is what I'm seeing or feeling or smelling or hearing, all of those things. And that's what desire is. So thank you.
Apparently Bull Rush was beating off to it. So
I believe it. I believe it. But then again, that's not a real high bar to get him to beat off to something.
That's true. He's done it to a lot of Masculine Geek articles.
Yeah, he typically sits without pants on when he's on the show. And
we all do. I mean, we're not wearing pants.
I mean, I game while not wearing pants. I feel like that's required. It's very important for performance. So.
Probably. I think it's really
gotta get into your hips.
Exactly. So we still have 17 watchers, and we have another maybe 15 minutes or so. So we're gonna hang out with you all for a little bit of time.
While you're doing that, I do homeschool. I'm gonna email you the article, the Women, Relationships, and Onions. I'll send that to you right now. Actually,
I just pulled up the.
He killed it like Karen does. Yeah, I respect the guy in a lot of ways because in the past when I've dealt with him, he's asked some really insightful questions, but he usually follows it up by shitting the bed. And which is going to be a whole nother article that I have to write about time wasters and shitting the bed. That's a whole nother subject. But he really did that for me. He killed desire. It's like because I even had to show it, which I typically don't, but I had to show it to my girl. I had to show it to Teriyaki. I was like, read this, and am I just fucking stupid, or because the first time I read his article, I couldn't get through it. I was like, oh my god, this is way too much verbiage, too many labels. I have a headache, and it was circular. He just kind of kept going over and over it. But when she got done, I looked at her and she had this look that was just like, and I was like, does that make you wet? And she's
I was
like,
about to say, that's one of those things you don't actually need. You don't need her
Dried
actual
that-
feedback. I saw a
Dried
tumbleweed.
that- you can hear the pussy drive
Sahara
right
right
up.
now.
yeah, but I asked her straight up, I was like, reading his article, does that make you wet? Does that make you want to fuck me or fuck him or fuck anybody? And her words were dry as a desert.
Yep.
And I was like, exactly. And that's when, because I'd already wrote both my articles, both the women relationships and onions. And then I wrote desire. I already wrote both of them. And it was like, okay. And I was like, well, do you need a palate cleanser? And she's like, yes, please. And so then I read her desire. And she had that doggy dinner bowl look when I got done with desire. And she's like, damn. And I'm like, and so it erased this uncomfortable 8 to 10 minutes that she had read this article, because this was a 2,000-word essay on investing in genuine desire. And I'm just like, wow, this guy's got way too much time on his hands, man. And you just sanitized, whitewashed, and is clinicalized even a word? It is now.
It should be. Could you please check out my stock portfolio in desire?
What it reminded me of was a dude in a white lab coat in a lab in a vacuum
With a clipboard.
with a clipboard and a pencil, taking fucking notes and checking off boxes, and he's got this word called desire, or in his
Nasdaq
case,
is down 2
genuine
points
desire.
in necking today, but desire, as it turns out, is about 5 points up. So I decided to dump about 50% of my crypto into the Yep.
Yeah. But that's it just, he killed it for me. I was like, dude, you took probably my second favorite word in the English dictionary and you fucking murdered it. And it's like, and nobody had ever done that before. That if anything, Rob was triggered. Rob was offended. I'm just like, how dare you, you son of a bitch. And so I had to write desire just to kind of be like, okay, you're going to clinicalize it and sanitize it, sterilize it, put it in a vacuum in a lab, in a lab coat with a white spotlight over it, and make it milk toast with mayonnaise. I need to bring it back to its cigars, sex, bourbon, and smelly and sweaty and what it really is. And so that's where desire came from. So, because, and apparently, because it's gotten a lot of likes. I mean, I wasn't writing for the audience. I really wasn't. It was me doing my own palate cleanser for me. It's like, oh, fuck this guy. But apparently a lot of other people felt the same way, because the stats on that poster are off the chart. I'm like, holy shit, that one took off. So apparently it resonates with a lot of people, that it's like, oh, okay. Apparently
Nice.
a lot of men and women were like, dude, you got it. You nailed that. So, but yeah, I'll send you the Onions women relationship one.
Nice. No bull rush.
Good. I took a stroll through it.
This is actually a coffee bowl, but in this coffee bowl is mulled wine. I figured, you know what? Heat up my wine. It's fucking cold out. It's a perfect time of year for it. So yeah, no Fruit Loops. I don't.
And in that wine is Lucky
most
Charms.
Homeschool time.
Finish
Yeah.
it there.
If you want, obviously give me full credit. You're more than welcome to share it. Go ahead and do that if you want. Absolutely. So go for it. I'm fine with that. In fact, anybody that wants to share that, I mean, I can put the fucking link for it in the chat if you guys want it to read it, share it, put it out there, because far too many dipshits on Twitter and on the internet in general, all the Karens, and that's the Kens as well, are taking our favorite fucking words and sanitizing them.
Yeah,
And
they are.
desire is not meant to be sanitized. It's dirty. That's the point.
Mhm.
It's the devil on your shoulder fucking tempting you. That's the point of desire. And so, fuck all this, we need to clean it up shit. So by all means, please, guys, I'll throw a couple links. You know what? Homeschool. I mean, I'll still email it if you want, but otherwise I can just send you the link right here in the chat, and then you can click on it and read it. Makes it easier.
Even the Catholics of all people did not take away the idea that it was supposed to be tempting.
Exactly.
That's
No,
supposed to be
even the
fun.
fucking Catholics got it, somewhat right. They were just saying, don't do this. But at least they gave the devil his due. So, and like I said, this guy just put it through the clinician's trial test in the DSM or something. I'm just like, dude, you missed the fucking point.
Looking through it now, guys, it's a very fast read. Jesus, I could read it on air and it would take me 5 minutes.
You talking about which one?
Desire.
Women?
This
Oh,
is
Desire.
a fast read. And
Read it. By all
evocative.
means, James, read it.
Do it.
Well, fuck. Sure. All right.
Don't read it. Don't read it in an announcer voice, because you do
And
it in
that's
your normal
sexy.
tone.
Transatlantic accent.
And that is sexy because and we have Desire coming in second. Here she comes, coming up the other lane. Oh,
Wow,
there we
sounds
go.
like
And
a
she's
horse
taking the lead,
race.
and there we go. Yeah, don't. do that.
Onions
Yeah.
coming in for the long shot.
Coming in for the long shot. Here she goes, Desire. Do your.
That was good. I love the draw you put on the end there. That was good.
You like that? Yeah, here we go. And here she goes. She's coming up the outer lane, and she's running. She's churning up the mud in there. Oh, it's just splatting all over the place. And she's overtaken, Rob says, and we have Desire for a win. So
you guys
We're
are
in like a fat
fucking
retard for
killing
the
me.
rest of this now. I won't
That's
be able
right.
to help it.
Yeah, read it your
Fucking
normal tone of
killing me.
voice. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Do it justice.
Starting from the top.
Right.
Desire. It's one of my most favorite words in the dictionary. The word evokes so many things for me. From breasts dripping with sweat, the smell of sex, hot breath on your neck, nails scratching, blood trails down your back, to eyes rolling in the back of your head, orgasms. To her pussy, grinding against my hand, my face, my crotch. See, he told you it was sultry.
That's right.
It's beyond
Yeah.
sultry.
It's
It's almost
beyond sultry.
pornographic.
Desire is a dive bar that serves cheap booze, and the smell of stale cigarettes is in the air. It's the smell of sweat and the heat of bodies packed together, grinding, grazing, pushing, and pulling towards one another. Desire is a beer bottle sliding on a guitar neck as the band plays the blues. Desire is the devil tempting me. To quote Ron Jeremy, to quote Ronnie James Dio on Heaven and Hell, there's a big black shape looking up at me. He says, I know where you ought to be. Come with me and I'll give you desire. But first, you've got to burn, 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 and fire. Desire is when she will drive 2 hours each way to come and fuck you. When she will get out of her car, throw herself against you, put her tongue in your mouth, and you could taste the coffee and her need for you. And when she wraps her arms tightly around you and throws a leg around yours for good measure. Desire is her walking through your door, climbing the stairs while stripping out of her shirt, dropping it on the staircase, unclasping her bra, and asking you, where's the bedroom? All while she hasn't missed a step or stride. Desire is the sweat in her hair as you pull it, and the sweat on her breasts as you lick them. Desire is her putting her arms around you while you're cooking bacon at the stove, and she unbuttons your pants and sticks her hands down inside and grabs her cock and starts stroking you. Desire is when you turn around and she drops to her knees in front of you, pulls your cock out of your pants, and she begins to suck. Desire is seeing her drooling while she's sucking her cock at the stove. Desire is when she pulls from you at the stove and you accidentally turn it off so you don't burn the house down, and she is stripping, walking backwards to the bedroom as you pull your shirt off. Desire is when you pull her pants down, her panties down, pants and panties down in one smooth, fluid motion, and she grinds her ass against her crotch, and the juice from her pussy drips onto the floor because she's so wet. Desire is when you're straddling her, she's gripping your cock and guiding you inside of her, and she doesn't care that you aren't wearing a condom. She doesn't care if you came inside her. That's how bad she wants you. Desire is when you come inside her and she screams and groans as you come and she comes too. Desire is forbidden, it's taboo. Desire is carnal and naughty and earthly and smelly and messy and sweaty. Desire is salivating and salty and silly and funny sometimes too. Desire is hot and exciting and wordless and breathless, and sometimes it can be wrong, but it feels so right, and you do it, and you want to keep doing it, and when you're done, you want to do it again. Desire can move mountains and destroy civilizations. Desire is all that's holy and all that's sacrilege. Desire is heaven and hell. Desire is biting and choking and bloody and sweet and tender sometimes. Desire is about feelings and emotions. Desire is what is always tickling at the back of your mind. Desire is connection. Desire is not a thesis. Desire is not an essay. Desire isn't a set of variables that can be controlled for, not really. Desire is not an algorithm. Desire isn't a computer simulation or a program. Desire isn't a course on Gumroad. Desire isn't logical or about logic. Desire isn't contrived in a vacuum or in a laboratory setting. Desire isn't rational. Desire isn't about investment. Desire just is. Desire is a fire, a burning, a need, a longing, a hunger. Desire isn't an equation to be solved for. You can whisper desire. You can beg with desire. Desire will make you shudder and bring you to your knees. You can write poetry about it. You can write and sing songs about it. You can play an instrument to it and harness it. You can't bottle it and put stock and credit into it. Desire is the devil on your shoulder whispering to you all the things that you want to do. Desire is delicious. Desire cannot be held in your hand and quantified and labeled and put in a jar on the shelf. Desire cannot be negotiated. Desire cannot be worked on. Desire cannot be controlled for and owned. Desire is evocative. Desire isn't sanitized and boring. I'm out of breath.
Well done.
Over the air, bosses.
Well done.
I'm going to send that to one of the
try to keep
discourse
a
I
straight
made. I'm
face
sure I will be
everywhere.
greeted by soapy tit pics in response.
There you go.
That was my palate cleanser for the horse shit that I read. And like I said, I even let Teriyaki read it because I just thought, man, am I losing my fucking mind here? Am I just being maybe overly critical? And she was like, dry as the Sahara. And I was like, that's what I thought. Here's a palate cleanser. Yeah, she was very, very agreeable to that one. So
Rob wrote that. It was
I wrote
Rob's
it.
latest newsletter.
It's the links in the chat there, Mark. I threw up 3 different links. There's Desire that James just read, the prequel, if you will, called Women, Relationship, and Onions that I put out on Monday. That's the second link. And then Bacon asked for me to throw Hedonist up there as well, which I wrote a while back. So all 3 of them are up there. So
There you go.
you want to
right,
know
cool.
me, you want to know my philosophy, those are the 3. There you go.
And that's what we're all about on Masculine Geek. And not for anything. I asked Rob to do the initial Masculine Geek, like what a Masculine Geek is, the initial Masculine Geek post on the Masculine Geek website. And what Rob just wrote and what James just read, that's part of what being a Masculine Geek is. Okay? We're not just D&D and computer games and goofy geek shit. What Rob wrote about and the things that I've written about and the things that James talks about and gives voice to, that's what a Masculine Geek is. And I've mentioned this before, whether he wants to or not, a Masculine Geek becomes a Renaissance man. Okay? That's exactly what being a Masculine Geek is. There you go. And when's that starter book for S&M? That's funny you say that because I'm going to be talking to Joshua about that. Because I mean, I've obviously done stuff in webinars. I've talked about it on different newsletter articles. I've written about it on my website. There's a lot of information on the masculinegeek.life. So it does need to be turned into a book. And Rob and I are going to be working on a project together along those lines in 2021.
I have one or two people in my Discord
who
I mentioned the BDSM thing to, and they're interested. I told them I'd send them in your direction. So if you get that book out,
please do.
They're gonna be.
Please do, and send them over to masculinegeek.life as well. I've got a private Instagram for that kind of stuff as well. Photos, text message, screenshots, videos, all kinds of good stuff there. That's if you're part of the masculinegeek.life, you get access to that. Exactly, Renaissance Men, we do it all. So, yes. Homeschool, you wrote that before I said it. Well, no, I said it before you, long before you. Go back into my Twitter feed. Nah, I'm messing with you. Yes. So, yeah, the BDSM book, Rob and I are going to be working on something for that in 2021. So, but I want to talk to Joshua about that as far as the layout and design and overall format, because I want it to be fairly decent. So, anyway, all right, I'm losing my voice. I'm tired. Been an hour and a half, an hour and 34 minutes. And we're going to call it a night.
Sounds good.
Snot on Twitter. You think that's funny, homeschool, but it's snot. Oh, okay. All right. Safety Doc, you know that we broadcast live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. and you're coming in when we're leaving. What?
I think you really wanted to say hi to everybody.
You did. What the ever-loving fuck? Nap time for Vince. I'm heading to bed soon. Although I do have off. That brings me to another point. There will be no Masculine Geek Gettysburg meetup this weekend because PA is shut down and the governor can go suck a dick. We're going to.
I just made a match in fucking Vernon Park who goes to school in Philadelphia, and I'm like, oh, I should run over there. I'm like, well, fuck. Now I'm gonna have to break the law and run over there.
Hey,
and what a terrible inconvenience for me.
You can't do anything over there. They fucking idiots. So we're probably going to reschedule that for late January, early February. It'll still be a 4-day weekend for the Masculine Geek crew, but that's Saturday. Whatever we decide, that Saturday will be the meetup. We'll keep you posted. Obviously, people in the masculinegeek.life subscription members, they get first notice and first dibs on anything that we do as far as like seating arrangements. So anyway.
Homeschool Times says the governor has no desire. We're gonna have to take Rob's essay. We're gonna have to throw it at him. Tom, we're gonna get just sticks and hooahs.
That's right. But Tony, she's a hooah. Hooah. Safety Doc,
we get you steaks and hooahs if we end this lockdown real soon.
Amos, yes, it'll be in late January, early February, and you will need to find your own accommodations. I can give you many recommendations. That is my town. Love Gettysburg. Okay, everyone. Until next time, keep the lead flying down range, keep the home fires burning, and keep the desire burning as well, you motherfuckers. That's right. So, you guys have anything to say other than go ahead? Just tell where can we find your dumbasses.
RobSays.net.
There you go. I love it.
Find me at Ash of Creativity on Twitter.
Do you have? Where's your website?
Oh, it's ashofcreativity.com. I haven't made a post there.
You never say your website. I've been waiting. I'm like, fine, I gotta fucking say something.
I did it last week.
God damn it!
I literally did it last week. I did the.
Did you? I don't pay attention to you anyway. So.
Yeah. I've been waiting for you to say that so I could ignore it and continue.
Exactly. On. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, ashofcreativity.com. There you go. And I'm obviously at masculinegeek.com and masculinegeek.life. All right. Keep the desire flowing.
Absolutely. That Instagram is really something. It's good.
Yes, you're. It's and yep, absolutely. You guys are missing out. Rob, you're not on there. Get on there.
Get on where?
I text messaged you guys. I sent emails out. All right. It's Masculine Geek Life on Instagram. It's a private Instagram that's just for our Masculine Geek Life subscribers, and it's basically my BDSM history and journey. So
Excellent.
go send a request, and I'll add you in.
Make sure
Activist, it won't
use
let-
a Gmail account or a spare email.
Yeah. Hey, Bubba.
They're
What?
not nearly as IP concerned.
Look at this. I don't know if you can see him.
There's his eyes.
Yeah. Hang on, let me put the phone light on here. God damn it. It's not working. The hell? There we go. There he is. Mowgli.
Planet Mowgli.
That's right, you fat fuck. What's up? Too funny.
That's right.
Remember the Saturday morning quick.
Keep the desire throbbing downrange. I like that. I like it. What
That's right.
Tuba said.
That's
right. Keep
the
your
flowing
desire
downrange.
throbbing and flowing, guys. Keep it sweaty,
Absolutely.
smelly, and sexy.
That's right, you Renaissance men, you magnificent fuckers. We love each and every one of you. No homo, except for Aaron Clary. He's a big homo.
Big
Blame
homo.
me.
All right. It's horrible that the stuff he has to hide. All right.
So before you get sucked
with-
into Mowgli's gravity well,
yes, pretty much. We're gonna head out. Let me finish this bowl of wine. Hang on, wait.
Bowl of wine.
chug. Oh, I forgot there wasn't much.
It's already
left in there.
done. And it's a local winery. It does this like Christmas blend, this holiday blend, and it's slightly sweet. It's red, but it's great when it's warmed up. So I warmed it up, put it in this coffee bowl.
Excellent.
Yes, indeed. All right, gentlemen. We are signing off, and until next time, don't take any wood nickels.